Hey Bookends! Welcome to a 10-minute book review. I'm 10. This week's book review is going to be on a new release that gets released tomorrow. It is Riot Baby by Tochi Onyebuchi. Full disclosure, we received this book as an art copy during Book Expo 2018 for the purpose of review. So jumping right on in, we like to start every review with a rating, as in out of 10 stars, how many stars did this book garner, and a star point, as in out of 10 stars, how many stars does this book garner, and then a rating, as in if this was a movie or a TV show, what would it be rated? So, star point. This book is 8 out of 10 stars. There were 2 major detractors from it, even though the story itself was good. And as a rating, it's kind of hard because there are portions in the book that are language heavy. And so that would definitely laden it with an R. But those parts of the book aren't throughout the entire book. So then if those parts were cut down in a movie, it would make it a PG-13. So I would definitely say that this book is for adults, is not for children. I wouldn't advise it for teenagers, even though a teenager, could read it and probably not hear or see anything that they weren't used to hearing or seeing or perhaps saying themselves. But I personally, you're not going to see me putting my name recommending this to children or teenagers. This is definitely a book that adults would enjoy reading because we don't understand all the parts of it. So, the story is about Ella and Kevin. They're brother and sister. Ella is older than Kevin. The story starts out with Ella's mother being pregnant with Kevin during the LA riots because of what happened with Rodney King, how he was brutally beaten by the police and the police weren't charged. Or I should say, were they charged and they just didn't go to jail? Or I'm not sure what the exacts were, but they didn't go to jail. So her brother ends up being born during the riots. And so Ella is actually whisked away to the hospital when the riots start to happen. And so she's seeing all this. And she's like, my brother's being born into this. Other kids are being born into this. I'm living through this. And that is a lot for a child of her age to monologue about. She's like 5 or 6. But Ella is not a normal child. Ella can see things. Like, if she's around a person, she can kind of see their future, just a glimpse of their future. Mostly when and how this person is going to die. To give an example, she's around this little boy, and his mother is just so happy to have him, because who's not happy to have their little baby with them? And Ella sees this boy 10 years in the future, just walking, from school, living his little boy life, and he ends up getting shot by a stray bullet during a drive-by. So she sees this kind of stuff. She doesn't see happy futures. Kevin is born, and her mom and Kevin moved to Harlem, New York. So basically going from an East Coast hood, a West Coast hood, to an East Coast hood. Because they're going from, California to my neck of the woods, New York. I'm from New Jersey, but it's kind of close. Anyway, so she brings them up here because she wants to give them something better, even though she can't really afford much better. So yeah, their mom envisions that taking them to a different part of the country may be helpful. The story skips forward a few years, and Ella is now not just able to see people's futures, she's able to telepathically, she's able to do things telepathically. An example of this is Kevin, because they have to share a room, because if you don't know, living in the East Coast is hard, it's expensive. So they're sharing like a 1-bedroom apartment where they sleep in the 1 bedroom. I'm not sure where their mother sleeps, but they sleep in the 1 bedroom. And there's a rat running by, and Kevin's like, Ella, there's a rat! And Ella just gets up. She don't even flinch about it. She just like, pop! And the rat's head explodes. And her mom comes into the apartment, you know, into their bedroom, and she's like, you know, her mom knows that she can do it. It's not a secret to family that she can do all these things. So she has these kind of powers. What her mother's afraid of is other people finding out that she has these powers and what these people might do to her daughter. And so she's not happy that Ella exploded a rat that she's gonna have to clean up later. But she is happy that 1, it was something she did in the home, and 2, you know, that she didn't have to handle finding the rat herself. At this point in the book, when we fast forward to the Harlem years, the cursing becomes heavier. So that was one thing that detracted from the book, how much cursing was in it. It's not a very large book, right? It's about 100 and some odd pages. Let me just see. Now this is the arc, so the actual version might be longer, might be shorter, but the actual, the arc is 162 pages. So it's not a very long book. But it started becoming curse heavy. And I can't get too mad at that, only because the curses were placed in areas where they made sense. If that makes sense. Like, there's this one time where Kevin is walking home from school with another young man named Malik, and they see some big boys on the corner, you know, like by the bodega, just like chilling, like, you know, older guys that are older than them, and they're just chilling, they're just talking, and they're like, you know, what's up, little N-word, and it's not in a derogatory way, it's like, it's just a yo, what's up. And a conversation ensues, and the older guys there like cursing back and forth and laughing and stuff like that. So the dialogue made sense. Did I like it? No. But it made sense. Something else I thought was interesting too is how Tochi kind of showed that just because someone is on a corner or slinging or trapping or what have you, it doesn't mean that they're not smart. It doesn't mean that they don't have knowledge. It doesn't mean that they're not encouraging other people to do better. One of the old heads asks Kevin, so what you learned in school today? And Kevin says he learned about George Washington Carver. And the guys start laughing and saying, you know, how George Washington Carver, you know, could have made grenades out of peanuts, or could have made like a ladder like Inspector Gadget out of peanuts. So these dudes who are on the corner trapping and stuff, they know who George Washington Carver is. They're not ignorant to the fact that this is a black inventor. And they have that knowledge, and they have so much of that knowledge that they're able to joke about what this man could have made if given the opportunity to make it. So I like how it showed that, like, just because someone's on the corner doing bad things doesn't mean that they're stupid or mean. It just means they're on the corner doing bad things to support themselves. I don't want to give too much away of the book because it is such a short book, but I will say that it does use real life events, and these real life events end up triggering Ella, and Ella sees a future where people like her, not gifted people, but black people or people of color, aren't racially targeted and racially abused. And so she's working towards that future. And Kevin ends up getting arrested. Now, saying that Kevin gets arrested isn't a big spoiler, because it does say it on the, you know, the blurb on the book. Kevin ends up getting arrested, not because he's actually done anything, but because he fits a profile, and he ends up in Rikers. And like so many people who do end up on, you know, in Rikers or these other large-scale prison facilities, his trial is put off, and it's demoralizing. What else happened? Kevin goes through a lot in prison. But I love that Ella never stops loving him, never stops coming for him, never stops trying to protect him. Even though she is aloof, she is distant because she feels as though she has no choice but to be distant. The book doesn't center around their mother. You can tell that she loves them deeply, but also she's a working single mom, so she doesn't have a lot of time to be around them, which is the narrative of a lot of mothers in the hood, a lot of fathers in the hood as well. Somebody has to work extra hard to make sure that they're just at ground zero, not even ahead of the 8 ball, just next to it. He has kind of a superpower too. He's really smart. Something I found interesting about this book, Ella has this hatred for the hood because she sees it for what it is. It's a trap to collect all the city's, I don't want to say undesirables, but if you're just going to put out there all the city's undesirables, and to keep them there, or of a state's, you know, undesirables. You find an area, you make it big enough, add in a few projects, a few townhouses, a few big, large scale, I should say, public schools to throw all the little children into, and yeah, you got some place to put them where you don't have to see them anymore. Growing up in the hood and kind of still being there, you don't quite notice all that when you're a kid. It doesn't feel like a trap. It doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel scary. Like, yes, people get shot. Yes, people get robbed. Yes, there's police profiling. But if it's all you know, it's not scary as a child. As an adult, yeah, it's scary. But as a child, it's not scary. To give an example, I don't know if they do this in all cities or what have you, but in the city that I live in, if there's a corner lot, like with no house in it, like just an empty abandoned corner lot of ground, you'll always find a bunch of crushed glass, just broken up crushed glass, like just broken Heineken balls, like not even, you can't really tell what beer or whatever was in it unless you just know by the coloring. But yeah, it's a whole bunch of broken glass. And as we would walk home some nights with our parents, you know, I would love to see it. Like when we'd walk by like corners, I would love to see it, because when the cars would drive by, they'd reflect off of it, and it would be like a glittery night rainbow on the street. And it would be beautiful, and I loved it. It was like stars in the ground. My dad wouldn't be smiling though. My mom wouldn't be smiling either. Just like, keep going, keep going, keep going. When I got older, I asked my dad about it, because, you know, we see this in every corner lot. It didn't matter where you were, it was every corner lot. Sometimes even middle lots too. Just bunches of broken glass scattered everywhere. And, you know, if you were trying to walk through the lot, if you didn't have sneakers or Timbs or something on, then of course your feet are going to get cut up. But for the most part, people had, if anyone was running through there, they had something on, either Air Force Ones or Timbs or something. They had something on when they were running through there. Nobody would run through those corner lots or mid lots without, you know, they wouldn't run through with flip-flops, let's just say it like that, or sandals. And so I asked Dad about it, and he said, Tennille, the state, the city, the police, whoever, they put that there in the lots. They put the glass there on purpose in the lots. It is a cheap form of surveillance, or assisted surveillance. I should say assisted surveillance, because glass can't see people. So assisted surveillance. So when a regular car drives by, it just lights the glass up a little bit, and it sparkles. It's pretty. It looks like glitter in the grass, or I should say glitter in the dirt. When a police car comes by with their super duper high beams, it lights up the entire lot. Not just the lot, but the shadows of the house next to it as well. So it served as a way of brightening up the neighborhood when the police came by, so they could see everyone. And yeah, I was like, okay, as I got older, like I said, as a child, you don't quite realize these things are bad or set up against you. But as an adult, I start realizing these corner lots, they could be housing. Someone could build a house here. These corner lots could be a playground. They could build a playground here. Somewhere where kids could play and just have fun. But if they build a playground there, then they can't have the glass there. If they build a housing unit there, they can't have the glass there. And then they can't light up the corner so heavy to be able to see the rest of the neighborhood without putting themselves on blast. So, yeah, as a kid, you don't recognize. Anyone I would say who grew up in the hood, as a kid, there's all these wonderful memories of the nooks and crannies and of the people and of the things that made growing up in the hood unique and special and wonderful and beautiful. As an adult, you look back and you think, okay, well, I was always in the library because my mom was afraid of me being in the street and the police coming after me or somebody else coming after me. The hood is a very interesting dynamic. It has a very interesting ecosystem. See, it could be so safe in your neighborhood, right? You could live on like Stuyvesant, Clinton, wherever. It could be so safe in your neighborhood because you know all your neighbors, that little kids, 5 and 6 years old, could be running around the street all day long, all day in the summer, and come back home at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. Nobody's worried. It could be that safe because everybody knows everybody. And yet it could be so hyper unsafe because gangs will ride through and bullets don't have names. Like, the gangbangers are not trying to kill the entire neighborhood. They're aiming for certain people. But while they're aiming for certain people, other people end up getting killed in the process. And a good amount of those people getting killed are children who can't duck in time, can't run quickly enough because their little feet won't carry them quickly enough, or can't react quickly enough because they don't know what they're reacting to or how to react to it. Or people riding through the hood trying to take our children. And of course, no one caring about our kids. Not us, but other people, like authority figures, not caring about our kids and imagining every black child that goes missing ran away. But that's not the case. Anyway, I'm going on to a tangent. So, back to the book. Riot Baby, it is science fiction, but there's so much of it that is rooted in the now that it doesn't feel like science fiction. There are parts of it, I won't say that hurt, because they just feel so real. It just feels like every day. Kevin feels like someone that I could have gone to school with. It just feels like an everyday thing. Ella has an otherworldly feel to her, but the book spends very little time being told from Ella's point of view. Very, very, very little time. Most of it's told from Kevin's point of view. Something else that attracted from it was the fact that it was in present tense. The whole book was in present tense. And I hate when books are in present tense. But it was. And War Girls was too. So I'm taking it, this is Tochi's stick. Like, this is his thing, writing books in present tense. He maintains it well. The plot didn't suffer from it. My brain just doesn't like it, but the plot itself didn't suffer from it. So, yeah, this is a really good book. The ending, I won't say it was unexpected. I will say that it ends on a note that most black people would not be able to foresee or even imagine possible, because life is a bit easier if you don't imagine that certain things, you know, could ever happen. It's not so difficult living day to day if you never imagine that better could be possible, or at least that the ceiling that is possible can be reached by you. I don't know, it sounds like an odd concept. If you haven't grown up in an area like this, it's kind of an odd concept to vocalize. It was a nice hug. I'll say that. It was a nice hug from the author. Yeah, it was just so much realness in this book. I recommend it to adults only who are into science fiction and who want to see how that science fiction will play out in a hood type setting. If you're into Meteor Man, if you're into, I should say if you ever watched Meteor Man, what is that movie with the Waynes? Blank Man. If you're into Meteor Man, Blank Man, Black Panther. Maybe not Black Panther, because Black Panther already showcased African people, black people from Africa, at a higher plateau. So maybe not Black Panther, but, well, no, the Black Panther the movie. If you're into Black Panther the movie, or if you're into Spider-Man, Miles Morales, like that arc of it, then this might be a book for you. And it comes out tomorrow, the 21st of January, I believe on all platforms. So keep an eye out for that, and thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Bye, Bookends.